Hello and welcome to the Week 1 edition of our Survivor podcast. It is Matt Brown. It is Steven Anderson. Steven, it is finally here. We've been waiting what seems like forever, but the NFL is finally upon us. And with that come these awesome Survivor contests. Guys, each and every week we are going to give you our thoughts, our picks, what the data is telling us, and also maybe some strategy along the way is to try to help you make it to the end. Because as we know, that's the only way you win any money in these things. Steven, here we are heading into the season. I can't even begin to tell you how excited and jacked up I am about all of this. And there are a couple of clear choices this week in Week 1 Survivor, and we'll have to talk about that strategy as well.
I feel reborn, Matt. Hope springs eternal in NFL Survivor. So the other thing I'll mention in this video too is that I'm going to be kind of pulling from the awesome tools that our partners over at Pool Genius have. I don't play my own NFL Survivor pools without the Pool Genius tools anymore. There's a link in the description. Everybody watching, we've secured a free trial for everybody through Week 1, so you can try it out, check out all the awesome tools, because it's not just enough, Matt, as we all know at this point, who have played it a lot, it's not just enough to pick a winner that week. We need to plan ahead. We need to look at popularity if we're not just trying to get to the end, but increase our chances of being the sole survivor and scooping the entire pot. All of this comes into play, and I haven't found anybody better than Pool Genius with the tools.
Guys, one thing to remember, know your rules of the pool that you're playing in. We are going to give you our general thoughts on all of this, but obviously sometimes there's wrinkles. If you're out playing at the big circus Survivor, you know, like there's a wrinkle with the different weeks in that one. Sometimes they allow you to re-up in some of the Survivor contests out there. And so just know your rules. We're going to go about this and talk to you as if this is a very basic Survivor contest. But again, there might be some wrinkles that are involved over there in yours. And one of the first things you're going to do each and every week, Steven, is you're going to go over to the betting odds and you're going to look at the money lines, because remember, no spreads involved in all of this. This is win in advance. And we're going to pick out the biggest favorites each and every week. And that's at least where you start your research.
Absolutely. The biggest favorite this week, Matt, Cincinnati Bengals. And yes. I get it, right? Playing the New England Patriots.
Yeah, there's a theme here maybe throughout the course of this season, and it might be find who's playing the Patriots and then just take that team. Yeah. You know, that is the strategy.
It is. I mean, at least maybe until Drake May shows up and we give him a week and see if he's actually going to be any good. But, you know, Mike Reese, one of the beat reporters over at ESPN for the Patriots, he's following them each and every week. And, you know, he had like an emoji bullet point list from their last preseason game of like good and bad. And there was like 5 different things that are going wrong and are major red flags with this offensive line. They're not only just lacking talent, but they're injured as well. And Jacoby Brissett clearly was not the better quarterback in the preseason, but they don't want to get Drake May killed. So they trade Matt Judon, one of their 2 best defensive players. They're clearly we did our power rankings as a staff this week, Matt. They are clearly number 32 out of 32.
Yeah. And honestly, going about a team and targeting a team that you think is going to be bad is not a terrible strategy when it comes to Survivor. And I can tell you for sure, in my personal Survivor pools that I'm going to be in, Steven, I'm going to be looking each and every week who is playing New England and see if that's one of the ways I want to go about it. See if I want to roll the dice on whoever is going up against the Patriots that week. I don't expect them to win very many games. I don't expect them to be competitive in a lot of games as well. And so for me, there's a obvious answer in Cincinnati this week if you want to play super safe and super chalk. But, you know, the problem with that is, as we talk about, you can only use these teams once. Well, you know, Cincinnati gets Washington in week 3. They get Carolina in week 4. They get the Giants in week 6. There are other games that you could use Cincinnati for sure if you didn't want to go ahead and, in air quotes here, burn them, waste them, whatever it might be in week 1.
Yeah, for me, with the Bengals this week in particular, there's 2 reasons why I'm not using them, even though I certainly understand why they're probably going, they have the highest probability to advance this week. Market, basically, if you convert their money line, around 79%. Next closest team is around 70%. It's justifiably so with New England. They're the most popular team this week, it seems. If you use the Pool Genius data grid that's available, you can sort every team each week by what they project to be the most popular pick in the pool. They have the Bengals at 37% for week 1. The next closest team is 14%. So, yes, I want to pick a team that's going to win in advance and not worry about it, but I also want to try and avoid the most popular pick every week. That's just my own personal preference. That's just me not caring about maybe taking on a little bit more risk. You play 18 weeks. You got to pick 18 teams. It doesn't matter what order you pick them in. For me, you try to eliminate the 14 teams I don't want to pick. Certainly New England would be in that camp. But I also want to avoid the most popular pick every week, and clearly the Bengals are that, Matt. The other thing, too, is as we record here on Tuesday afternoon, Jamar Chase doesn't have a contract, doesn't look like he's going to play unless he gets one. So I don't think it's going to matter against New England because we've already discussed how bad they are. But, I mean, certainly doesn't make me feel great if their best weapon isn't going to play.
No, absolutely. There's other things that go into this, guys, as well, too. And many of the pods we do moving forward are going to be much shorter than this, but just kind of giving a little bit of overall strategy stuff. And you can, of course, go to lines.com and take a look at some of the strategy articles over there about Survivor. But, you know, it also has, do you have 3 entries? Do you have 5 entries? Do you have 10 entries? Or do you just have a single bullet? Are you doing this because you just want some entertainment along the way? Because there is, like Steven just mentioned, he would rather avoid the most popular team each week, and that is certainly a sound strategy for trying to win pools. But if you're not as willing to take on some of the risks out there, it's okay to just kind of play the chalk and then figure things out the later on you get in the contest. Because at the end of the day, as long as you keep winning and advancing, you're in, as opposed to other people being out of these things. And so, listen, it's just one of those deals where I personally will take on a little bit more risk than a lot of people a lot of times, but I certainly understand if you just want to play Cincinnati this week and move on and say, hey, I at least made it through week 1 of Survivor, then I'm not going to look down on you for that at all. But like I said, there is a lot of future value on this Cincinnati team, and they're going to get something done with Jamar Chase. And so with that, Steven's kind of like, where do we go from here? Do you look at a team like Seattle? How much do you believe in Seattle in their first game out of the gate against Denver? I mean, that is something that is going to be a question for a lot of people out there.
Yeah, if you go by market odds, the 3 teams with the highest probability to win this week, the Bengals at home against New England, the Buffalo Bills at home against Arizona, and you mentioned the Seattle Seahawks against the Denver Broncos. If you look at their schedules, clearly Seattle is the team out of those 3 that does not have as much future value. For a third-place team, their schedule is actually pretty tough, not just because they're in the NFC West, but because the other third-place teams that they run into are actually look pretty decent this year too. So I think Seattle is probably where I'm leaning in week number 1, Matt. I know Mo Nawara's touched on Buffalo in his column. You can go read his reasons why at thelines.com. But I'm a little bit nervous about Buffalo. I want to see it first. Arizona was pesky towards the end of last season when Kyler Murray came back. They beat the Eagles. Buffalo, if they're going to be as run heavy as they were and after they made the OC change last year, that to me brings in a little bit more variance week to week, makes turnovers from Josh Allen a little bit more costly if you're playing more of a ball control game with fewer plays and fewer possessions. So, while they are 6-point favorites this week, I just am not sure I want to take my shot week 1 with them. Certainly Arizona's defense is terrible, but if I'm getting Seattle at 9% projected ownership and Buffalo at 14% projected ownership, I think I'm looking more Seattle here against Denver with a rookie quarterback in that very loud stadium for his NFL debut.
Yeah, it's going to be a decision right up to gate for me. And honestly, I have multiple entries and I might split them because the thing for me is I actually think I want to use Buffalo because I actually want to get Arizona. I think Arizona by the middle of the season, towards the end of the season, after Harrison, kind of settles in and McBride is like halfway through his second season, they might be even more annoying. Yeah, they might even be more annoying than they are right now. So I kind of want to catch them early and pick them off early. And so that does have me leaning a little bit towards Buffalo. But like I said, I could easily see myself splitting between Seattle and Buffalo. What we don't want to do, guys, is look and see San Francisco as a big favorite and use them this week. There's no point in using them against the Jets. The Jets might be really good. We don't know. The Jets might be really good for all we know, and there are much, much easier games and a much, much easier path with San Francisco literally starting next week whenever they're looking at Minnesota, and then there's the Rams, and then there's New England, and then there's Arizona, and all these teams that are on the schedule. So I think there's three very clear options this week, Steven, and San Francisco is not one of them.
Yeah, some weeks in Survivor you have, 4 or 5 teams you feel pretty good about. Some weeks you really only feel good about one of them. We mentioned those top 3, the Bengals, the Bills, and the Seahawks. After that, I'm not feeling great about any of these. And I'm going by straight order of most likely to win if you convert the money line odds. 49ers against the Jets, Saints against the Panthers, Bears against the Titans, Lions against the Rams, Bucks against Jaden Daniels and Washington, Miami against Jacksonville, and the Chargers against Las Vegas. Believe it or not, I think the Chargers would be the team I'd feel best about on that list, but I don't feel comfortable with any of those options compared to the top 3 here this week.
No, not at all. I mean, guys, for me, like I said, it is how you want to go about this contest, right? So if you only have one entry and you want to feel really good about advancing, I understand putting in the Bengals. Not, like I said, not going to look down on you for that at all. For me, I don't have a clear 2 and 3 with Seattle and Buffalo. I think both of them are same, and I think that both of them are out there with reasons that you would maybe want to go ahead and use them now. Again, I said I want to kind of catch Arizona before they get good. I mean, Bo Nix, I wasn't a fan of Bo Nix in college, but who knows? Bo Nix might be good. You could take the strategy too of being able to go and pick on him while it's still new there in Denver. So I think there's a lot of merit to Seattle and to Denver. A lot of merit to Seattle and Buffalo this week. And so I really did. Cincinnati is a clear 1 for me, but not going to be my pick. And then 2 and 3 between Seattle and Buffalo, honestly, put them in a hat, pull them out. I think that there's a really good case for both.
This may annoy people, but I'm not even going to put the most popular pick each week in my top 3. That's just going to be my process until we get down towards the end of the year, and then maybe it becomes a little bit different because you're just running out of teams. But for now, I'm not even going to put Cincinnati in my top 3, although I acknowledge they are the most likely to win this week. For me, number 1 is Seattle. They don't have any future value. They do get New England on the road next week, but that's about it after that in terms of games I feel extremely comfortable playing them. And it's also an early kickoff going across the country for Seattle versus this week at home in front of the fans with a rookie quarterback and all that. So Seattle's clearly number 1 for me. And if you go to the Pool Genius tools and click on the optimal path tool, instead of trying to plot out each week who to pick manually and trying to figure that out, they literally have a button. You just click the button and it tells you what the path is and which team you should pick each week, regardless of whether you just want to get to the end and you don't care if you wind up splitting the pool, or if you want to have a max expected value and try to be the sole survivor. In either of those scenarios, they have Seattle as the pick in week 1. So I like Seattle for week 1. I'm going to take on a little bit more risk. I'm fine with that. I really don't want to take Buffalo. I really don't. I don't feel great about it. I think the offense is good enough for Arizona to at least be pesky this week. I'm not going to put Buffalo in my top 3. I know Mo Noir very much disagrees with me. I'm sure you disagree with me too. I'm just not comfortable with it. So beyond Seattle, it's a big, big gap between them and the next team I would consider. Oh, God. Atlanta against Pittsburgh at home. I don't know. Kirk Cousins hasn't played all year. Las Vegas. The Chargers against Las Vegas. I don't feel great about any of these, to be honest with you. It might just be Kansas City against Baltimore on Thursday night. I don't want to burn them, though. So what you're hearing, Matt, is that I'm having a hard time coming up with 3 teams I feel great about from a game theory perspective. So to me, in week 1, it's Seattle with a bullet.
Looking ahead to next week, guys, Baltimore going to be a big favorite over Las Vegas. That one's going to be out there. San Francisco will be on the table again against Minnesota. Dallas will have New Orleans. Detroit will have Tampa Bay. The Jets have Tennessee. Houston has Chicago. So there will be a lot of discussion next week as well, but we got to survive in advance this week before we can worry about next week. Again, over at thelines.com, free trial over at Pool Genius. Be sure and take advantage of that. And also, we have some strategy articles over there and let you know where we're going to go. Like I said, I'm going to be on Buffalo. I think I'm going to split entries this week, be on Seattle and be on Buffalo both, and we'll go on from there. But not going to burn Cincinnati, not going to burn San Francisco.
Hey, Matt. Wait. Bonus for everybody. Bonus. Yes. If you're watching this before week 1, go to play.thelines.com. Again, play.thelines.com. We are hosting a free Pro Football Survivor contest, and the winner's taking home $5,000. Costs you absolutely nothing to join, and you can win $5,000. So again, go to play.thelines.com. Thanks to everybody who hung around towards the end of this video. Wanted to make sure that you guys got access to that for sticking around so long.
We'll even throw the link in the description too, and go down there and get that as well. Guys, this is it. It's here. The NFL. We got to make it to the end. We're going to be here each and every week guiding you along the way. Hopefully we have some sweats with you guys. I didn't make it past week 6 last year. That's
hey, we get knocked out. We can rebuy next week.
It's neither here nor there. We'll get that all figured out. For Steven, I'm Matt. Good luck on all your week 1 picks.